A lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that. So the 1 second decision is, I had to live through that 1 second decision several times during this race. So this race took me 100 and some hours, okay? And this is what people don't get. For you to finish that race, even though I DNF'd, I still finished in the time. So there's a lot of pride in that. If you're 100 and some odd hours, let me use Hell Week. This is a perfect example. Hell Week's 130 hours. And 130 hours is a lot of seconds. A lot of fucking seconds. And if you lose, let's say you win every second but one, you lost. It only takes 1 second for you to lose the whole thing. So the 1 second decision is just that. You're in a situation where life is sucking. Let's say you're in extreme cold water and your life is flashing before your eyes. Every time that wave goes over your head, your thought process is, I gotta get the You forgot every reason why you wanted to be there. You don't care about SEALs. You don't care about any of this. You don't care about fighting for your country. You don't care about that gaudy gold trident that they put on your chest. You don't care about any of that no more. All you want to do is go back home. You want the warmth. You may want something to eat. You want your girl to hold you. All those things of comfort are there in that 1 second. And this is where people lose. So what I do in that 1 second, because we all think about quitting when shit's hard. But what you have to do in that 1 second, it's hard to process information during pain, because that pain takes over and you can't think rationally. You're thinking about fight or flight, save yourself. That's not a rational thought. It's not a thought that's going to get you through hard times. Most people fail that 1 second. So what happens, what I do in that 1 second, and there's a bigger process to all this, but in that 1 second, I physically stayed in that water, because if I get out of the water, I quit. So I physically stay in the water, but mentally, I'm on the beach with the instructors. And the instructors, it's cold outside, so they got these parkas on, they got their cup of fucking Joe, and they're warm because they've already been through it. So now it's your turn to go through it. So mentally, I get back with them. I'm still in the water physically, but mentally I'm back with them. I'm chilling. I got my parka on, and now I'm thinking logically because I'm warm now. Mentally, I'm warm. I've taken that 1 second. Let's not quit yet, Goggins. Let's think about your options. Where are you going to end up if you quit this shit? Where are you going to go? What are you going to say to yourself? Because you know you're going to get warm. The second you get out of this water, you can take a shower, and you're going to be warm. And in 5 days, you could be out. So I start thinking logically. I calm my brain down, because your brain just wants to get the fuck out. Ring the bell, push your helmet down, get warm, and then you're really And these are the things you have to think about in the 1 second decision. So that's what that's all about. It's about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective, and then saying, I really do want to be here. And I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds through this 130-hour journey. And I have to learn to control these, because if I fail one of these 1 seconds, I will not be a SEAL. I will not be a doctor. I will not be a lawyer. I will not be whatever the fuck it is. So that's how important that 1 second decision is. It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, fuck you. I run this motherfucker. And that's what that's all about. And most people fail those 1 seconds. And then that 1 second leads to 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of fuck. I have people who have been through training with me, Ranger School, SEAL training, Air Force training, and I get calls from them today, and they have great lives. And all they talk about is how they failed in that one moment. And they can't even enjoy their life now, because they're now warm. They're now warm. There's no more suffering. There's no more suffering for me either. And we're in the same boat now. But you're suffering, so we're not suffering, but you're thinking about what you could have been. I am exactly what I should have been. And that's where people start to lose it. Because now I realize that in that 1 second. I go through all that. I know how it's going to feel because I failed so many times before. Failure is the ultimate thing, man. I failed so many times before. And that's why I don't look at failure anymore as failure. I look at it as my first, second, and third attempt. So that's what that's all about, man. I never wanted to feel it again. I never wanted to feel it again. But what it did was it showed me what is possible. And that's what set the new stage for me. That's when I realized, oh man, I've really been underachieving my entire life. I'm not saying that you have to go to that place, because that place is a dangerous, dangerous place that...
Borderline rhabdo, heart, everything.
Oh, it wasn't borderline rhabdo. It was all that.
Yep.
But you don't want to go there. But it taught me what is possible. So from that 19-hour lesson, but the biggest lesson I had in my life, it taught me like, okay, I got it, check. As you get bigger, as you get more successful, you open the door for people to critique everything you do. And most of the people who are critiquing you usually aren't where you are. And all their critiquing comes from people who are really at a low level of life, which is sad. But what we do, people who are on the upper level, hearing the haters at the lower level, like I said, you'll never meet a hater doing better than you. True statement. I started having fun with it. So I'll go through the comments, while most people don't go through comments, I go through them intentionally to look for the bad ones. And while I'll block and delete you because the people on my page don't need that negative energy, I'll block and delete you, but I take a snapshot on my phone and I put it in the archive. So what happens is, there's days where I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to do this today. And I'm like, oh, hang on. So I started making these mixtapes with all of these hate messages about people talking shit. And it became such a source of fuel that it was amazing, because I know why you hate me. You hate me because you're probably in the bed right now. You're probably an underachiever. You're probably somebody who doesn't want to do anything with your life. So I make you question everything about yourself. So I'm going to continue making you question yourself by coming out here and being even more successful. So I listen to that while I run. I sometimes play it in the house, and it sometimes gets on Jennifer's nerves because I'm sitting and listening to somebody talk mad shit on a loop about me. And she's like, why do you do this? It's half comical and it's half inspiring. I'm actually inspired by it. How that back in the day, when I was sometimes getting bullied or in a dark place, how sometimes that would have bothered me. How I would want to clap back. I would want to be on there all day explaining myself to people. And how now I'm in a place now where I can hear it and I can actually enjoy it. I can actually know where it's coming from. I've studied it. So I don't just like listen to it and like make fun of it. I actually study it, because I was once that negative person. I was once that person who saw someone successful and didn't see how can I get there. I was like, oh, yeah, they're probably cheating, or they're probably doing this. I was that negative person because I wasn't there, and I didn't want to work to get there. So these people who hate on people, I've studied them, and I've gained a lot of knowledge from them, because I gained a lot of knowledge for myself when I was in that dark place. I have pity on a lot of people. I do. I used to get angry about it. Like, there was this guy, I talked about it on Rogan, this guy from SEAL Team 6, who went out there when I started becoming more famous. He went out there and just tried to destroy me, tried to literally destroy me. Talked about how, he just totally lied. Had to get a lawyer against him, all kind of shit. And I was getting ready to sue this guy. I was going to sue him because he literally tried to destroy my character, my reputation. Went out there and just lied his ass off. And I thought to myself, was about 2 months into it. And I sat back and I started feeling sorry for this guy. Like, really sorry for him. I was going to pull the trigger, sue him. And I said, I'm not going to sue this guy. I said, for you to be this person who comes on and lies and tries to literally tear down everything I've worked for, you are in a very, very bad place. Come to find out, he was in a very bad mental place. So I get what you're saying. I've learned to study people before I react, because there's no successful person in the world who's in a good headspace that's going to ever attack anyone in that kind of manner. There's always going to be something wrong with them. So you got to always dive a little deeper before you get your feelings hurt. Before you get your feelings hurt by that bully at school or that boss at work, take time. Take that 1 second to pull back and study them. Because most people who are in good places, they don't care about what you're doing. They don't care about what you're doing. They don't try to destroy you. They actually will try to build you up versus destroy who you are as a person. So that's where I'm at now in life, is most people who do that, they're in a very dark, dark place. They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm gonna hold on to it. And that's the thing about that I was telling you, that I always talk about. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of fucking spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, you have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated. And discipline is good too. But without a clear headspace, there's no discipline.
What do you mean?
So let's say we have a circuit breaker, okay? And I'm loading everything up to one fucking circuit. Just load it up. It's gonna fucking blow. And once that thing blows, man, the circuit's all fucked up. You gotta have each thing plugged into the right spot, like a crowded garage. You can't put anything in it. Once your brain is crowded, discipline is great. Motivation is great. But if you can't fit shit in your brain because it's all fucking cluttered with shit, there's no discipline. You may have it sometimes when it fits in that crowded garage of your mind, but you don't have the consistency that you need to have with that discipline. When things start to come so easy in life, it's the perspective that 21-year-old had. He looked up at that mountain and thought, he looked at his hands, he looked at the amount of hours of pulling that Pulaski, that tool, and raking that ground, and then cutting those trees and moving them, and that hours of work. He looked at his feet and said, these old shoes would do. It's that perspective in life that we lose. And that story to most people may not mean anything. It's that story I always want to have in my life. You cannot lose perspective of where you've come in life. If you can sit back and wait, if you can wait 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years, when you get to that point when you finish, that's the feeling for 12 years. Let's say they wait 12 years to get there. That's what keeps you going, is you gotta feel, I'm doing it for 1 second. Being a perfectionist is the worst thing that can happen to a person. You never live. Like when I lost that 106 pounds in like 2.5 months, whatever it took me, that was the biggest trophy of my entire life. I didn't care if I graduated Navy SEAL training. I didn't care. What I just accomplished in that time frame, it's massive.
Yeah.
I don't know, there was no trainer. There was no like, and what's funny about this, we talk about mental toughness nowadays. It's like the biggest crave. When I grew up, it was just suck it up.
Yeah.
It was just make it happen.
Yeah.
You had to figure out. It was called figure it out, man. And all these nuggets that I gained along the way, that's what it was about. It wasn't about the trident. It wasn't about all those daggone medals. It wasn't about any of that. And that's why I hate even talking about being a SEAL, you know? I mention stories. People, why you talk about it didn't define me. The journey getting there was harder than going through it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the whole thing about life, man. It's that journey that makes you who you are. The things I do in life, most of life, you're alone. You may have a whole support crew around you, but up here, you're alone. And all those feelings of pain that I had, I was in the worst pain of my life, ever. And some people think, man, you're just crazy. No, when you've done that, and you figured out so much on your own, and all that pain and discomfort I had in that tub, laying there, passing out, everything, was confirmation of what I just figured out. I just figured out the code. I figured out a code that many people aren't looking for. And I want it to be known. I want that feeling. This was confirmation. This was like a scientist's notes. The notes were here. The notes were all this feeling. It was a confirmation. And no one at that time could understand what I just done. I cracked the code to human potential in myself. And I was still like, oh my God, like this is unbelievable what I just did. So it's that quiet place.
Wow.
It's that place by yourself. It's those hours and years and decades by yourself in the grip of life. When life has you by the throat and choking you out and you're sitting there calm because you're trying to figure it out. You're not panicking. You're not quitting. You're not throwing in the towel. You're saying there's a way around this. And when you figure it out, when life has you gripped in a vice, and you can figure that out, that's when you overcome. That's when you overcome. And that's why that one moment for me in that tub, I didn't want anyone to take away from me. That's where you find yourself. You find yourself when you are when you're not comfortable. When you're not comfortable on a daily basis. And that's how I started to grow. Like I said about the mind, it wants to put you in that nice 72-degree temperature with everything right there. It wants to be in that nice with a little massage therapist. That's where your mind wants to be. It doesn't want to be, and we're going to talk about Hell Week. So it doesn't want to be in Hell Week. In Hell Week, I was in 3 of them. I finished 2 of them in 1 year. Only person to ever do that in SEAL history. There's been people who have gone through a couple of Hell Weeks, but in like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. I was in 3 in 1 year. They say it takes off 3 to 5 years of your life. So Hell Week is 130 hours of continuous training. You might get 2 hours of sleep. And what it does is, it's designed to break a man. To break a man down to the parts where, like I talked about the surface, how I was fixing the surface. If you only fix the surface, you will never get through Hell Week. Because what it does, it starts to bring out these demons. Because even though there's a lot of yelling and stuff like that, there's times where it's very peaceful in a very eerie way. So the first hour of the 130 is breakout. They're shooting guns, it's loud, it's noisy, your mind is in chaos. When your mind's in chaos, you can't think. So you're having fun. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, we're in Hell Week, we're Navy SEALs, or trying to be Navy SEALs, we're badasses. Then what they do, and I don't even think that they understand what they're doing, but I studied the mind. It's perfect. It's psychological warfare. They go from an hour, the first hour when you're going crazy. The second hour of the 130, they put you in the cold water. It's called surf torture. Now they don't call it surf torture because it's a kinder, gentler word. It's called surf acclimation or something like that. Whatever. Everybody's getting soft. So it's called surf torture for a good reason. They put you out there. No one's quit yet. It's only been an hour. Maybe a couple of guys have. And you're in the Pacific Ocean, which is never warm. You're all linked arms. You're sitting there and the waves are crashing over you. I went through winter hell weeks, which is cold. The Pacific Ocean is like 50 degrees. It was 49 this particular night in my third hell week. And what it does is it makes your mind flip out. We've been doing this now for 3 weeks, being in this water. But for some reason now, the water is colder than it's ever been. It's not. Our minds are fragile. We can process a day. It's hard to process 130 hours. There's no end. There's no end. So the mind starts to ramp up. So you're sitting there, it's quiet, no one's yelling at you, you hear the ocean, and you're freezing. And your mind goes spastic, starts to think, I have another 129 hours. You're not going home, you're getting yelled at, you can be frozen. So you panic, you freak out, and you want to quit. What I realized about the mind is those people who can be in that time and embrace that time and be in that moment and not allow the mind to go to 129 hours on hour one. It's the control that we don't have in our minds. It's the control that you had to have for 3 months when you're miserable, when you're suffering, when you're laying on the floor, when you're doing all the disciplines it takes to be a monk. You cannot think about the whole process. It will make you it will make you so insanely crazy. It's impossible. It's inhumane what I'm about to do to myself. You have to be able to break all these big, humongous, painful things in life down to the smallest molecule, because that's all the brain can handle. The brain can't handle hours and hours and hours of suffering, but it can handle right now. I'm in the Pacific Ocean and it's very cold and this is what I'm doing. Don't think about the rest of it. So that's what I learned from Hell Week. That's what I learned from being in 3 Hell Weeks. That's what I learned from all the military. I went to Ranger School. I went to all these different schools to learn all of that, to learn how the mind processes. So I talk about theorists. I talk about practitioners. A theorist is a person who reads a book, doesn't do it, reads a book, learns about something, and then talks about it. A practitioner is myself. A practitioner is a person like me. I wanted to be an expert in the mind, a mental toughness guy, beyond mental toughness. The only way to do that, in my eyes, is to put yourself in hell. Put it in hell repeatedly. Repeatedly put yourself in hell and study how you process it. And that's how I was able to come up with all these different ways, all these different tools to slow the mind down in hell. Because the mind just speeds up. The mind wants to get out of the painful situation, the suffering. It can't process it. So that's what I realized by going through all these different processes of being in Hell Weeks. The unrelenting voice that we all have. What happens to that voice? I'm going to answer your question. We all have a voice in our head. Some of us are very spiritual, some of us are not, but we all have this voice and you're doing fucked up shit. This is wrong, don't do that. The more you don't listen to that voice, the further that voice gets away from your head. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it God, some monks, whatever you call it. It's there. We all have it. It's the right or wrong voice. But the more we don't listen to it, the more that voice goes away. The only voice you hear is yourself. When the only voice you hear is yourself, you're wrong. There's a voice that guides you through life. But sometimes it's guiding you in a direction that you don't want to go. That's usually the right place to go. It's that uncomfortable place. So that voice is always talking to me, but we don't listen to it. I listen to it. And when I start getting anxious, nervous, like we all know when we've done too much because it's telling us, I'm getting tired, I'm wearing down. But we go. I start talking to my fiance, hey, I'm doing too much. You start now, like I did in Hell Week, like I do all the time, the 1 second decision. It's that decision when your mind starts to get so amped up. Whenever you can't hear yourself think, you gotta slow down. Whenever you're living off a schedule, every day's a schedule, you have no time for yourself. When you start, and we all know it, I don't have time for this anymore, I don't have time for that anymore. That's when your mind and your body are saying, think about that. The way you explain that about the child's mind is 100% the truth. I just want to sleep in, always throwing tantrums, never getting what they want. Whenever they don't get what they want, they throw a tantrum. But what happens is we never grow. We are 40, 50, 60, still throwing that tantrum we once did at 7 and 8 years old. So people think with age is growth. No, it's not. You have to go back into the scarring to get the growth. On the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, call whatever you want, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're willing to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck and all the shit to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. What we do so well in this world is we see superhuman people and we title them. The second we title them, what that does, that gives us a get out of jail free card, is that they're the 1%ers. I'm not even gonna try to do that because that's not even in me. God made them special. They're special people. There are no special people, they're special minds, and the mind can be created on your own. You can do that yourself. So that's why I write the book like I write it, so people can look at me and say, my God, he came from this? He had to overcome all of this? So I take away all the titles, even crazy, even the fact that he's superhuman. All those titles are now stripped away. But what's funny about that, you will have my book in your hand. You will read it in its entirety. You will hear the audio book, whatever you get. And by the time you get to chapter 9 or 10, you already forgot chapter 1, 2, and 3 of the hell I came through. That's how fast the mind wants to soften you up and say, this guy's just nuts. He's superhuman. That's how fast the mind, you already forgot what you read. And you love the book. You're loving the book. And you already forgot the first 3 chapters because your mind's saying, this is impossible. It's already guiding you down that path of least resistance as you're reading the book. That's how powerful it is. So we got to constantly remind ourselves of, go back to chapter 1, 2, and 3. Always remind yourself of those chapters, of that you can also do this. But you have to first self-examine or live autopsy your own personal life. One thing that hurt me a lot was I thought everybody wanted the same thing I wanted. Not everybody wants the same thing you fucking want. Everybody wants to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and beat themselves and find more about themselves and like that. And I thought the SEALs did. Most people don't. Yeah. And I thought the SEALs did. I thought that's what, because every book you read, that's what everybody does. So I was hook, line, and sinker. So that mentality that I had, it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, once I realized that not everybody was like this in the community. And I was like, you know what, man? So then I started having chips on my shoulder. I had my own little thing I was doing with a couple guys, working out on my own, do my own little thing. And when you start doing that stuff and you start to drive yourself away from people, and I was already different as it was, even if I didn't do that, I already came in being very different. Like I tell people, I was a part of the Navy SEAL teams. I wasn't a part of the brotherhood. I grew up wanting friends at a young age. And once you get self-esteem and you know who you are, I was comfortable. You're not liking me, but I'm not hanging out. And then you take it to another step further with this being hard mentality of, if you guys aren't doing what I'm doing, you guys aren't shit. So I did a lot of things that push people the wrong way, that rub people the wrong way. And in that, being in the fraternity, it's like a big soap opera. It's like the guiding light. And, people start not liking you for certain reasons. People don't know who the you are. Rumor mills start happening. Then I have 2 heart surgeries. People think I don't want to deploy overseas. Oh, Goggins don't want to fight. He just wants to run. But I'm not going to say I had 2 heart surgeries. I couldn't even go fight. So just a lot of things happened. And within that, it's life. I was who I wanted to be. My goals were finding the baddest men on the planet, working with the baddest guys on the planet. And the heart surgeries hurt me a little bit. But what I realized is I got a lot of growth from examining people. My insecurities, their insecurities. My military career was absolutely stellar. Not many people have pulled off honor man everywhere I went and done the things I've done. I didn't deploy as much as I wanted to. Yeah, I went to Iraq, stuff like that, but I wanted to deploy a lot more with the heart surgeries, keeping out of training for 4 years. That hurt me a lot. But all in all, there's not many people who've done some of the things I've done. I'm the only one.
You're the only one.
For 100% fact. I know for a fact, and I haven't Googled it and looked at it. I know there's nobody in the world who's willing to say, let me screen for Delta Force twice. Let me go to Army Ranger School as a Navy SEAL. Let me go to Navy SEAL. Let me go be in 3 Hell Weeks. Let me go to Air Force. So my military career was phenomenal. There's another challenge out there that sucks, that people don't want to go to, that I can grow from, that I can see some more uncommon motherfuckers out there that want to get hard and get after it. And I always found out one thing. When you're in training, that's where you find how people really are. I found the best out of people in training. That's why I love Buzz. That's why I love Ranger School. But once you get out of training, very few people keep that same mentality. It's like, hey, thank God I'm done with it. That's why I always love going back to scratch. A lot of people feel like no one understands what the I'm going through right now. And there's a lot of times in my life that I chose the only on purpose. On purpose, just to see how I would come out the other end of it. Well, like I've said a million times before, the most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it. Eventually, you act on it. Sometimes you act on it good, sometimes bad. You got to change the internal dialogue. That person in your head that's talking that shit to you, until you change the internal dialogue in your head, until you callous over the victim's mentality that the world is out to get you because of you are the only, you gotta change that shit, man. I get that mentality. I once had that mentality that no one understands what the I'm going through. And if you keep that mentality, you're gonna stay in the same exact spot that you're in, that no one understands me. There's millions of people. Why do you think a book that I self-published, is doing so well? With a story that's so up. People like, I'll never forget when I went to a publishing house, like, who's gonna resonate with this story? No one's gonna buy this book. I'm like, are you not in the world? Are you not in society? You're never alone. Everybody's going through shit. So when people get this mentality of like, you don't understand me, you can throw a fucking rock to someone that can understand you if they're willing to break themselves down and stop hiding. A lot of people understand you, but you gotta stop hiding. And that's why I tell people, a lot of people are going through shit, they just hide better than you did. So you gotta teach yourself how to read and write, and also smile and say, it's okay. A lot of things aren't like, man, why don't you do this? Like, I don't judge people. That's why I don't judge people. Man, you don't smile, you look so hard, look this. Read my book and don't forget where I came from. It's who you are. You have to undo that shit. And no one came down and trained me on how to be happy, how to find peace, how to do this and that. That's why I'm so glad I found it through suffering. The greater the suffer, the greater the peace I found. But you have to reflect on where you came from the dungeon of hell that I came from. I had to reflect on that to find final peace and be able to say, wow, motherfucker, if you die in this bed at 40 years old, I'm the happiest motherfucker in the world because I did it. I pissed people off along the way. Some people don't like me, Merry Christmas, whatever. But you can finally look in the fucking mirror and you can cuss on damn Rich Roll and don't care what they say about you and be happy with it.